Hi everyone, and welcome back to Anne's Family Recipe. Today I'm trying out 3 recipes from the July-August issue of Food Network magazine. First up, I'm making beer cheese dip, which I love. This was a little article about regional dips throughout the United States, and the beer cheese definitely caught my eye. I've never made this before, but I love ordering this as an appetizer at bars and restaurants. I started by shredding up 4 ounces of sharp cheddar cheese and 4 ounces of Monterey Jack cheese. And then I measured out my beer. This calls for 3/4 of a cup of lager. I just had a summertime ale in the fridge that my husband liked, and it worked out just fine. And then I brought this to a simmer with a 1/2 teaspoon of mustard powder and a 1/2 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. This was over about medium heat, and I whisked that together and cooked it for just a couple of minutes. Then I reduced the heat to low and added in 4 ounces of cream cheese and then the grated cheeses, so the sharp cheddar and the Monterey Jack, and whisked this together until it was smooth. And then to season this dip, I added just a pinch of cayenne. You can add more or less to taste. I didn't want it to be too spicy, so I started off very light with the cayenne. And then a pinch of garlic powder and a pinch of salt. And I love the garlic and Worcestershire and even the mustard in this dip because it gives it a really nice savory flavor. If you are planning to serve this for a party, I would keep it in one of those small slow cookers so that it can stay warm and this nice smooth consistency. But this tasted awesome. My kids and I loved it. I served it with some frozen soft pretzels that I just heated up and sprinkled some kosher salt over. This was a total winner. Next up is a dinner recipe. It's called Gnocchi with corn, mushrooms, and bacon, and this was also quite delicious. So I started with 8 ounces of baby portobello mushrooms that I just kind of roughly diced up. I brought some water to a boil to cook my pasta and seasoned it with a little bit of salt. Now, the recipe only called for 1 bag of gnocchi pasta, which is like a potato dumpling style pasta, but I made 2 bags just because we have 6 people in our family and I knew we would not only enjoy this dish but also enjoy having some leftovers too. Now, if you can find the gnocchi in your freezer section, I've also seen it dried as well. And I just cooked this according to the package directions. It only takes a couple of minutes, and drained it and set it aside until I was ready to add it in. In a large nonstick skillet, I added in 6 slices of bacon. The recipe only called for 3, but I just didn't think that was enough. So I chopped this up with some kitchen scissors and started to crisp it up. The recipe did call for a tablespoon of olive oil, but I decided just to cook the bacon in my skillet and use the bacon grease to saute the mushrooms. So I didn't have to cook the bacon completely to start because I continued adding ingredients and the bacon continued to cook. So by the end, it was nice and golden and crispy around the edges. So you can see here, I sauteed the mushrooms for a few minutes. Then I added in a bag of frozen corn and sauteed that for another couple of minutes, and then seasoned all of this with some salt and pepper. Next, I added in a handful of chopped green onions. I think this was about 3, and I reserved the darkest green parts to sprinkle over at the end. Here I'm adding in 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, along with about a cup of the pasta water that I had reserved before I drained the gnocchi. And then I stirred this all together to create a little bit of a sauce. Lastly, I added the cooked gnocchi into this mixture, and then I shredded some fresh Parmesan cheese over the top. The recipe calls for a 1/4 cup, but I feel like this is an ingredient you can just measure with your heart. So add as much as you want. And then, as I mentioned before, I had those reserved green onion tops that I sprinkled over as a garnish, and my whole family really enjoyed this dish. Anything with bacon goes over very well in this house. Last up, I made Philadelphia-style vanilla ice cream, which was incredible. I loved how easy this was to prepare. You don't have to cook anything, but you do need an ice cream maker, which I appreciated because I have one and I was looking for more ways to use it. In a large mixing bowl with a pour spout, which I found very helpful to have, I added in 1¼ cups of whole milk, 3/4 of a cup of white sugar, 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla bean paste. Now, my aunt just gave me this as a gift. A great place to find vanilla bean paste at an affordable price is somewhere like TJ Maxx or Home Goods. This will last me a very long time, and it has a super intense vanilla flavor. Plus, it gives those little speckles of vanilla beans in your ice cream mixture. I also added in 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then I whisked this all together gently, and then added in 2 cups of heavy cream, and again, whisked it gently because you don't want to whip the cream, but you just want that sugar to dissolve. I pre-froze the base for my ice cream maker in the freezer for 24 hours prior to making this recipe. So I just grabbed that out and popped it onto my KitchenAid mixer and then added in the extra attachments I needed to actually churn the ice cream. And then I turned it on to the lowest setting, which is called stir, and then carefully poured the vanilla ice cream mixture in. And in about 20 to 25 minutes, this had created a beautiful soft serve texture. So you could eat it like this, but I chose to transfer this into a Tupperware container, cover it, and then freeze it for an additional 4 or 5 hours, so it was more of a hard scoop ice cream. So as I said, I did freeze this for an additional probably 5 hours after I made the ice cream, but it still looks like soft serve here, and that is because it was probably in the high 90s that day, and we do not have air conditioning in our house. So the kitchen was super hot, and the ice cream started melting the moment I removed it from the freezer. I baked some brownies and served this ice cream up over top, and it was absolutely delightful. Everybody gobbled it up. All 3 of these recipes I shared today are definitely worth trying. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can follow me over on Instagram at Ann's Family Recipe, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked my Food Network Magazine recipe taste test here today. Thank you so much for joining me here in my kitchen, and I'll see you again soon.